Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Regroup Show. Today we're going to actually talk about haunted houses. Growing up, I was told, that kind of stuff does not exist. It's all in your head. It's Hollywood. It's in the movies. But unfortunately, uh, I don't believe that anymore. I believe that they do exist. They are real. And guess what? Several states actually believe that as well. So much so that they have laws on the books regarding that. My state, New York, has a Ghostbusters ruling where sellers of a house have to disclose whether or not their house is haunted. In California, sellers have to disclose if on the property within the last 3 years or so, if anybody died there. In Virginia, any parapsychological or supernatural phenomena has to be disclosed. In New Jersey, all haunted houses fall under psychological impairments and must be disclosed if the buyer asks. What happens if you don't disclose it and the person moves in and sees or experiences anything? You, the seller, can be sued. And in today's world, it's really not that hard to find people. You can pretty much hire an investigator or use certain apps, and they'll tell you where a person is. So don't get it twisted and think that you can get away with it. But then again, listen, that's the law as it states right now. And then there are other laws, because there are 50 states and they classify things differently. There are some states like Nevada, you're not required to say anything. So if you live out there, you're okay. But there are also other states that, they have probably like UFO sightings and all of that other kind of stuff. So yeah, check with your lawyer, check with your legislation and see. And then also know that, laws can change, So if the law says that they exist, then they do exist. I know that, there are a lot of people who are skeptical, but I say it's like this. You know what? Just because you don't see it, that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Trees fall down in the forest. If you don't live in the forest, you don't see it, but that doesn't mean that the tree didn't fall down, right? Well, it's the same thing with when it comes to things that go bump in the night. Okay, so and then the only thing that I have with this is that there is some people might confuse, or they're not really up on the terms. And I know myself, I'm not really like caught up with the whole spiritual world, even though yes, I'm a Christian and everything else like that. But I did a little digging. There are different types of beings, right? Inside of your body is your spirit. Okay? Your body houses a spirit, right? But not all spirits are inside of a body. Then you have ghosts, okay? Ghosts can be good or bad. Ghosts normally do attach themselves to particular places. Physical spaces, such as a house, a backyard, a street, whatever. Okay. But let's say like a demon, that's different. According to a dictionary, those are entities that can take possession of you. Those are transferable through physical contact and what have you. That's what I've heard. But I'm not really, I have to admit that I'm not really like too proficient in it, even though I kind of understand what they're saying. So if you really have to sort of like, I guess, you know what, speak to an ordained minister, and maybe they can determine for you whether or not you're if you are someone who feels as though there's a ghost in your house, maybe you should determine if it's the ghost or if it's something else. Because if it's something else, then that's totally different. Anyway, let me get back to letting you guys know other things that may be important to you. So again, I know that every homeowner is not going to disclose that information. And yes, you can sue them if they don't disclose it. But I also know, even though you can fine people and even though you can sue them, that doesn't always mean that you're going to get your money. Unless you put in that you want their wages garnished, and that is if they are working for someone, because they might actually be, self-employed. So then you have to figure out, to garnish something else. And to have that, you kind of have to pay for that like every year to have that like on record with the court. So that's why you probably should do a little bit more digging, if you will. And there is a site. It's called diedinthehouse.com. For a small fee, you can actually uncover or find out whether or not somebody died in the house, whether it was natural, suicide, or some type of untimely death. So it's like you're doing a background check. Instead of on a person, you're doing a background check on the house. And of course, if you see a tombstone in the backyard, since some people do bury their loved ones there. And actually, I was looking at a country where people actually bury their loved ones in the front yard. I will tell you this, that might be of a concern. And 9 times out of 10, you might see a ghost if you are buying property where they've actually buried their loved ones there. All right. And then, unfortunately, another thing that happens is that you have some cities like mine, okay, where houses have been built on top of old cemeteries. Okay, we had an issue where they wanted to build on top of the African burial ground downtown. All right, but because of protests and what have you, they've modified that particular plan. All right, but what you can do is you can go to your local library and you can ask them for, like historical records, or you can even go to your state's historical society and see if they have any like historical records on the house on the house that you're buying. Also look up old maps of the area, that those old maps may, show graveyards or not. But mind you, I'm going to let you know, not all states are proficient. The problem is they don't always go like way back to the beginning. For example, I went to the library here in New York and they only went back to 1965. So that's another reason why you probably should go to the Historical Society and see if they have any older maps than that. You can also contact your city planning department for information on the land use history of your area. They would also go in a little bit deeper, if you will. And some people, now I haven't done this, okay, but some people have actually hired an archaeologist to do a proper survey. But here's the thing. If you have like a garden in the back or what have you, they're going to be doing a lot of digging, and I don't know if you want to have holes in your backyard. How big those holes are going to be, I have no idea. But it's an option that is available. Okay. So that's basically what I want to share. Whether you're a skeptic or a true believer, knowing the history of your home can be fascinating, crucial, But you got to be careful because you might dig up more than what you're actually bargaining for. So, guys, I hope I was clear. I hope you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. Okay. And listen, feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Why? Because each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.